Today I am getting ready for our Thanksgiving meal. I have asked all of my guys to give me some suggestions of what they wanted this year for our meal, and this is what we have come up with. We're going to do a turkey. We sometimes will just do turkey breast. We got to look around and see what's out there to determine if it's going to be a full turkey or just a turkey breast. We're not sure. We want to do homemade stuffing this year, mashed potatoes and gravy, corn casserole, cranberries. We usually do the jellied canned cranberries, some rolls, pickles, black olives, whole black olives, and green olives. And then for dessert, I'm going to do a pumpkin pie and a chocolate pudding pie. The pumpkin pie this year, I'm going to try my hand at homemade. I think I have a can of pumpkin in my pantry, so let's see if I do and if it has the recipe on the back of it. Okay, I do have a can of pumpkin. There's two different recipes on the back. One is a famous pumpkin pie, one's a new fashioned pumpkin pie. After looking at both recipes, I've decided to go with the famous pumpkin pie. The new fashioned pumpkin pie, you can use sweetened condensed milk, and I don't want to use sweetened condensed. It doesn't sound very good to me. So I'm going to go with the famous pumpkin pie. So I have a can of pumpkin, so that's good. I need to check my ground cinnamon, ground ginger, and ground cloves and see where I'm at with those really quickly. Okay, ground ginger, I have plenty of that. Ground cinnamon, yeah, not so much. I need to get some ground cinnamon. And ground cloves, I have plenty of that too. It looks like I am good on my poultry seasoning too, so I don't have to get any more of that either. I have white bread, and I thought I had a couple of rolls, but not enough for Thanksgiving dinner. Way back in the back, underneath of the white bread, I do have a pie crust that was left over from the freezer breakfast meals, so I'm going to use that for the pumpkin pie. Okay, let's get some recipe binders out. I'm going to get out the holiday binder and sides. You know, I was thinking I am going to actually buy a frozen pumpkin pie too, just in case for any reason the homemade pie doesn't work out. I definitely need a backup because that would be horrible if it didn't work out. And I already see the homemade dressing, and there's the corn casserole. So I have made out my list, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all of the canned goods in the freezer food, like the rolls and stuff, right away. And then the fresh stuff like onions and celery, sour cream, I will wait until just before Thanksgiving and I'll get those so they're fresh. And the bread too, I'm going to have to wait on that. But everything else I am going to start shopping for and getting into this house. So now that I have everything figured out, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to put in a grocery order. I am only going to put in the things that are non-perishable. When it gets closer to Thanksgiving, that's when I'm going to end up getting the items like potatoes, celery, things like that. Things that I know that may go bad before Thanksgiving. In the years past, by doing it this way, I have found that it makes it so much easier when the crowds decide to hit the stores. And that way my home is all stocked and ready and waiting for me, except for just a few items. Jason found a couple butterball turkey breasts. So we are going to have 2 butterball turkey breasts for our turkey this year. And these come with gravy packets, which I was never aware that they did that before, but I'm still gonna get the turkey gravy for backup, just in case the ones that come with this aren't that great. This is a humongous onion. So this one is actually gonna be used for more than probably one recipe for Thanksgiving. Got some sticks of, I can't believe it's not butter, just to have on hand. Some spray extra creamy Ready Whip. Has some chocolate jello with a chocolate pie crust, corn muffin mix, can of cranberries, a jar of green olives, can of whole black olives, and a can of cream corn. Needed a couple of seasonings. I needed cream of tartar and ground cinnamon. Figured I might as well grab a dozen eggs just in case I run out or, you know, underestimate the whole egg thing while I'm cooking. We like the Sister Schubert's dinner rolls. This is my backup pumpkin pie. Some evaporated milk. This was a substitution. I had ordered the Great Value and they substituted it for the Carnation. Some roasted turkey gravy, milk, and then we grabbed a humongous pack of Bounty paper towels because we are always in need of paper towels, especially cooking for the holidays. Now I'm going to try my hand at a homemade pie. Most of you have probably already done this for years. I, on the other hand, have always cheated and gotten a frozen pie. But this year I was talking to my guys and they agreed that they think that a homemade pie would taste really good. So we are going to give this a good try. After I put this pie together, I'm going to put it in the freezer and then I know it will be ready for me for Thanksgiving. For the pumpkin pie, I'm starting off with 2 eggs in my mixing bowl. I'm going to add 3/4 cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, a 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. Now I am adding 1 can of pumpkin. I'm going to gradually add in 1½ cups of Carnation milk. I'm going to take this, I'm going to pour it into a 9-inch deep dish pie shell. I have my pie crust on a cookie sheet. I'm going to pour the pie filling into the crust, put it in the freezer, let it freeze and set up in the freezer. Okay, it is happily sitting in the freezer, ready to get all set up before I wrap it up to freeze, and then we are going to enjoy the yumminess on Thanksgiving Day. While I am baking and prepping, I am going to make some chocolate chip cookies for another dessert for Thanksgiving. Plus, Justin's been really hungry for chocolate chip cookies, so I am going to cook some up right now for him. So I'm starting off with 2 eggs, a cup of white sugar, a cup of Crisco, a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Give this a mix. Teaspoon of vanilla, a teaspoon of baking soda, 2 1/4 cup of flour. And that's 1. I'm gonna mix that so it doesn't go all over. Okay, now I just add chocolate chips. Not particular about the amount. I have only this much of regular chocolate chips. I'm going to add all of these, and then I found a little bit of the minis, so it's going to have full size chocolate chips and minis inside of it, and then I can finish up my chocolate chips and buy more for the holidays. I'm heating up the oven to cook these ones up, but for the freezer ones I put them on parchment paper. I use this rounded tablespoon, which makes a perfect cookie ball size, and I'm going to line them up on the cookie sheet. They don't need any much room in between them because they are going to just go into the freezer on the cookie sheet. I'm gonna wait for them to set up. Once they set up, then I put them in a freezer bag. Oh, and on the freezer bag I will write the instructions, because that way whoever decides to have 1 cookie at a time or a couple cookies, they will have the instructions on the bag to follow. Okay, the cookie dough is in the freezer getting ready to set up. I actually got 36 more cookies out of that batter. It's gonna be so good. Now I am making lunch lady brownies. These have a homemade frosting recipe that you can have on the top of the brownies, but I'm not going to make the frosting because I read that you can freeze brownies. I'm going to mix up these brownies, bake them, and then I am going to freeze them. So I'm starting off with 4 eggs, 1 cup of melted butter, 2 cups of sugar, 1/2 cup of unsweetened cocoa, going to give this a mix very slowly so that cocoa doesn't go all over. These are a delicious homemade brownie. If you're looking for a good brownie recipe, I highly recommend this one. Now I am adding 4 teaspoons of vanilla and 2 cups of flour. Now I'm going to pour the batter into a sprayed 9x13 baking pan. I'm going to cook this on 350 for 25 to 30 minutes. So the brownies have cooled off completely. Then I cut them into squares and I took each one and wrapped it individually in saran wrap. I got 12 of them, plus me and the boys. We all kind of had one for dessert tonight. So what I'm gonna do with these is I put them in an aluminum pan and I covered it with aluminum foil. And then on the top I wrote brownies so we know what's inside of the pan. And this is gonna go in the freezer. Now when we're ready to use one, we can either take it out in the morning and by noon it should be thawed out completely to eat, or we can also put them in the microwave for a few seconds and thaw them out that way. So the cookies are all frozen and set up very nicely, and I put to bake them on 375 for 8 minutes on the freezer bag, and these are going back in the freezer. The pumpkin pie, I am going to wrap that in plastic wrap and aluminum foil, and I took some freezer stickers and I put the instructions on it, which is 425 for 15 minutes, and then I need to reduce the heat to 350 for 30 to 40 minutes. So that is all set up and ready to go back into the freezer. Thanksgiving is moving upon us so quickly. Let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite dish from Thanksgiving? Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon.